Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan-Del Vecchio, and I'm here with my friend and co-author, Nancy Saxton-Lopez, and somebody who Nancy will introduce in just a couple of minutes. And this is a program that we do every Thursday from 6 p.m. Eastern to about 6:30, and it's an opportunity for us to expand the reach of our book, The Pet Loss Companion: Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups. And in this program, what we often do is we read letters from audience members about the story of their animal's life and their loss and how they're doing in their grief. And what we've been doing recently, once a month, is we've been reading comments, because we get some comments that we think are instructive and be interesting to center a conversation around. So that's what we're doing today. You can reach us to send us a story. That is our special guest snoring. You can reach us to send us a story at kenddv@gmail.com. That's my email, or at nsaxtonlopez@csmpc.com. All of this information is in the description that accompanies the program, whether you're watching live, and thank you very much if you are, or you're watching or listening to one of the rebroadcasts, and thank you as well if you're doing that. You can support our program in a number of ways, and I'm not going to run through all of them, but I will tell you that this program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society in Springfield, Massachusetts. Dakin supports a pet loss support group over Zoom that has no cost for participation, that I facilitate. It's once a month. It's usually the second Tuesday of the month, but my schedule being what it is this month, it's actually the third Tuesday. So it's going to be Tuesday the 18th of March from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And you can RSVP via the link that you'll find in the description. And finally, if you find this program useful and you haven't already, please subscribe, and that helps others. It brings the program's attention. It brings the program to their attention when they're looking for support with pet loss. And also, if you can give a thumbs up, or you can
a heart,
a comment, any of those things will tell the algorithm that this is a valuable program, and it will raise its visibility. So please do that for us and for others who may benefit. And one last thing, and that is I would like to let you know that we have a relationship, an affiliate relationship, with a company called Bereave. And Bereave is a company that makes these finely crafted memorial plaques that you might put on a gravesite or a memorial garden. And they are very heavy granite. They're engraved with whatever text you'd like, and also an image of your departed animal family member. And if you buy one of these plaques through the link in our description, and only if you buy one of these plaques through the link in our description, we will get a little bit of support back as part of the purchase cost. So please consider doing that if you think that this would be useful. It is very nice. It's a really nice plaque. And Nancy, you want to get us started?
Well, this is proof that I am still grieving for Ellie and all of my other babies, but this is my new little adoptee, and her name is Penelope, or she goes by Penny, or Dad calls her Penny Lane, and she comes from the French Bulldog Rescue Network, just like our bookie did, and I was lucky enough to be able to adopt her. She does have issues. She's special needs. She cannot use her back legs. In fact, she was a Jersey girl, right? In the beginning, in a lovely family, but she did develop IVDD. And so one of her discs was not right. And so the family tearfully surrendered her because they had 2 little kids, 2 toddlers, and another dog, and they felt really bad. But she is in good hands, right?
Yes,
and we were lucky to scoop her up and bring her into our home. And we love her. But of course, we still miss, the ones that have passed on, crossed over the bridge, right? So tonight, and I probably will put her down because I think she's going to start snoring again because she's going to go to sleep. But we do have some comments, and I'm going to read the first one from Dodie. And it says, 2 years had passed since I had to let go of my dog, companion of 18 years. I grieved long and hard. It took about a year to feel happy and secure in my single life. By accident, I came across a picture of a stray dog from Kosovo that happened to look so much like my late dog. I didn't hesitate to adopt him. He was already 10 to 12 years old, but that didn't bother me. How nice that people do that when they adopt elderly dogs, cats. I was the happiest to have this wonderful, smart, and kind gentleman in my home. The organization told me he was healthy, but that was not the case at all. After 3 days, he developed bloody diarrhea, and the vet visits began. It got better, but his behavior was off. He still wanted desperately to go out at night and would curl up in the cold in the corner somewhere. It broke my heart. I always carried him home, but he wouldn't let me sleep. The only compromise was to let him sleep in the stairwell where it was freezing cold. We did this for 2 nights and he developed a cold. He was very weak. At the third day, he started to vomit and short breathing. I rushed him to the hospital, convinced he was dying. They kept him, gave him many infusions. The next day, they told me he was very sick, was anemic, and had severe pancreatitis. I asked if it is better to put him down, but they wanted to give him a chance. After further blood work and ultrasound was done, they found heartworms, oh my God, and another blood um, parasite. He came home for a last night, but the weakness was worse. The anemia got worse, the inflammation got worse, and the breathing was shallow. In the morning of February 14th, I brought him back and held him while they put him down. I was sobbing like crazy. I got a panic attack and stood there with my limp friend as his body released a huge swell of the amounts of water he drank, laying down the night before, hoping to ease the inflammation. I took his body home and buried him next to my old friend. This whole ordeal was just 1 month. We had a few happy days and cherished moments, and I'm glad I could give him the love and care he never got in his life. But I am scattered. This was unfair and cruel for me. I'm scared of adopting again. I kind of think I will go back to my old happy single self, but I also am scared I won't. I'm very depressed and kind of numb to everything. Only my job keeps my spirits up a little. For the rest, I could not care less. I looked at hundreds of dogs, fitting my breed preferences, but I just can't push myself to go for it, even if they look or give off the vibe of my late buddies. I don't know what to do. Do I get a cat?
So
Well,
what? Well, I mean, this is somebody who just worked so hard and did so much
right.
for their new rescued dog, and sometimes it just goes this way, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a rare occurrence, but of course
But he
anything
was
can
older.
happen.
He
Yeah.
was an older dog. I think that, I mean, I have to give it to people who do rescue elderly senior animals because there's always that possibility, right? That they are already sick and not known, or they become ill, and then they have to, treat them, take care of them,
Hmm. Hmm.
and with a lot of love. I mean, there's a lot of love that Dodie gave, to her baby. Um, but it unfortunately it was quite a challenging month for her.
Yeah, and when she asks, it says I'm looking at hundreds of dogs and I can't push myself to go for it. Well, the way I look at it, if you're uncertain, you just sit with the uncertainty for as long as it's there, because that's the way you kind of can decide, and yet that's the way you can wait for the time when it does make sense for you to adopt again.
Yeah.
And so it does. I mean, if you don't really want to push yourself, I don't
No.
think. I know she wants to be generous, and she also wants to have this wonderful animal companion in her life. But if she is ambivalent, then she should wait. You can always wait. There's always the opportunity
Yeah,
to wait a little longer
sure.
and have your feelings settle. And this question about giving off the vibe, oftentimes animals have very different personalities, and
Yeah.
the experience of being with them feels quite a bit different than any other animal companion that you've had,
Hmm.
who you've had. So it's very likely that when she does move to adopt again, that this new animal family member is going to have their own spirit. She's going to
Yeah.
resonate with them in her own
Hmm.
way, in their own way. And it may be different than all the others that she's had before.
And it could be a different breed. And yes, it could be a whole different animal, right?
Yeah.
Some people have cats and then they move to a dog or vice versa. Some get a bird. I know someone who got a bird. You know, sometimes it is important for that person to resonate whatever animal they get.
Right.
But it is okay if they get the same breed, a different breed, or a different animal. You
Yeah.
know.
And when she says, "What should I do? Get a cat?" Can't hurt to get a cat. A lot of cats need homes.
Yeah.
Cats are great. I've got one sitting right
Esme's
beside me.
right there.
She's right here with me, as she always is. And the two dogs are in the house. so,
That's right.
but we thank you for the comment. It certainly
Yeah.
does raise a lot of
Questions, though.
questions and thoughts,
Yeah. And
and it
yeah.
was very good of you to take care of
Oh,
this.
yes.
This animal had a very hard time, and you were there for them, and
You
that's
know,
really beautiful.
it's interesting because I think I can share this. I don't think Joe would mind, but we had Joe on oh gosh, a year ago, 2 years ago, Joe on the podcast, and he had lost his Harvey, and and over a period of time, he decided to have to get another dog through a rescue. Okay, so he got a lovely dog. He named him Tucker, and what happened though is Tucker developed some kind of issue where he kept drinking.
Uh,
He wouldn't stop drinking. And unfortunately, what happened is nobody could figure out why, right? And so that was a lot of stress in the family. This happened within 2 weeks. And so there was a lot of visits, there was a lot of testing. And that was something that, of course, you don't expect. This is what happened, I think, a little bit to Dodie, right? You didn't
yeah.
expect to have something going wrong like that. And Joe was right there with the family, and they did find out that it appears to be it wasn't as bad as they anticipated. It appeared to be behavioral because
Oh, okay.
of in the context of the litter, and that he never got enough water, and he was the run to the litter or whatever, something on that order. So he could never quite get to the water. So when he got to it, he would drink so much. But he's good now. He's
Good.
fine. But I mean, that's what happens, right? Sometimes when we adopt, and we don't always know. I mean, even with
We don't know
getting
what the history is.
no,
Oftentimes.
even with getting Penny here, I mean, the foster mother was lovely, talked about how, the elimination issues, because of diapers and condoms, but it's not, maybe because she's new here, but it was a little bit different than she said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just getting involved in creating a routine, right? Did that with Ellie, and we'll do it with Penny. But especially with rescues and adoptions sometimes or fosters, it isn't always what is anticipated, right? You
Yeah.
just have to be aware of that. But I got to give Dodie a lot of credit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll move on, and before we do, I just want to respond to Celeste's comment. She said she registered for the pet loss support group on 318, but she didn't get a note that confirmed that, and I asked that she check her spam folder. And if you still don't have one, then get in touch with me through my email, and I'll follow up on it. Because you should get just an acknowledgement that you registered, and then you'll get another acknowledgement with a link day of usually. So we are going to move on, and we have a comment from somebody who was responding to last week's program about Nala, who died very
Oh,
suddenly.
right.
And so this is from Raving Cats, she calls herself, or himself, I'm not sure. It's so hard to lose the baby unexpectedly and tragically. You had so many plans with them, and you then have to watch the geriatric companion grieve and worry that much more about them. I totally relate to feeling robbed because, to be honest, we were. I'm so sorry for your tragic loss. I hate this feeling, and we try to do what we can to protect our babies. And there are just some things we can't control, like they've said. It still hurts so bad, though. I totally get it. I lost my baby boy unexpectedly and tragically February 1st. He was playing Thursday at the Energy Vet appointment Friday and passed early Saturday morning because they didn't properly communicate risks or insist on follow up care that could have prevented it. Nala was beautiful. She was a free spirit, as was my boy. He hid how sick he was until it was too late. Combined with too busy to communicate and my lack of knowledge, this is where we ended up. Sending much love and strength. It's so hard to lose our fur babies. And she sends a heart and also a broken heart. And, one of the things when you lose a baby animal companion, we've talked about this
Oh,
before,
yeah. This is the other side of it, right? Instead
yeah,
of seniors, babies.
you lose the expected
Yeah.
future
Right.
that you were looking forward to with them, and maybe you've really loved having them around, and you've introduced them to a new place to live in some cases, and in Nala's case actually it was pretty much the family to some extent moved to the country so that she would likely have a safer environment.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, they loved it. They thought it was beautiful as well. And then very shortly thereafter, she gets killed in an accident. And it's very difficult because you do feel like
You're
you
you're
lost
gypped.
you lost all of this
Yeah.
that you were supposed to
It's
have,
not
but you
fair.
never did. It isn't fair. Yeah. So we hear about this with some regularity, and then also this whole idea that we can only do what
What
we
you can do.
know to do because we don't see everything, we don't know everything, we're not all veterinary specialists. Even veterinarians make mistakes, and so we there's only so much that we can do.
You know,
And
it's it's really hard, especially when they're young. I've worked with I'm still working with two women who lost their companions, their dog companions, at a younger age. One was a puppy, actually, and that was really difficult, less
that's
than a year
really
old,
sad, really
and
sad.
and that was a breeding issue. That's why we talk to people to please be careful where you purchase
Yeah,
your your animals. But the other one is very angry. That they're still angry that they missed out. That they missed out on that relationship that could have gone on for 5 years. 6, 7 years, whatever it was. At 4, there's that anticipation to be a lot
yeah,
more
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And so I think that kind of complicates grief in some ways,
Oh, definitely, definitely.
because they just why is this person have their dog and they're 12 or 14 and I don't, and they don't mean it to be, kind of mean to anyone. They're just this is their frustration
Yep.
and their anger and their sadness, because they won't have, those years. So we try to work with them around the years you had, and that how important they are. But it still is difficult.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, and we have a person who we've read her story. We've been in touch with her several times, and she's been in my support meeting, and she talks about that feeling sort of envious of somebody whose animal is still their animal companion
Yeah.
is still alive, and at the same time recognizing that she doesn't want to act on that, that she still is very connected to that person and very loving toward them, and
Yeah.
goes to visit them, and is very supportive of them having their friend, because she understands that this is not something intentional on anybody's part. And that's one of the things that's so, one of the reasons it's so important to acknowledge your feelings and to manage them in whatever way is most fitting for you, whether it's talking to people or just writing them down, or going to see a counselor, is because if you do that, you're not going to inadvertently act them out in ways that might be hurtful to
Right.
others or important relationships that you have. And so if you know that you're envious, that makes it less likely that you're going to act out your envy toward that person. And I hope that makes sense. But
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, I also think, that to write down anyway,
yeah.
to write, because that's really important.
Yep.
Yep. So because it gets all your feelings out.
Yep. Gives
right. So that you can move it,
right,
so that you're not acting that out, that you move around and you are, kind of getting all of that angst out, or anger out, or frustration out. It's still there. It's real, but you're not going to really take it out on anybody.
So we'll read one more, and this is a short one, and it is from Leslie, and she's commenting on another recent program that was titled "We Were Meant for Each Other." And she says, "Oh my heart is breaking for Kara. Such a beautiful dog, and I can just tell how much you loved and adored her. The pain you're feeling to lose her so traumatically. Please be forgiving of yourself. You absolutely did the best for her. I have done the guilt thing and the should haves. It doesn't help with your grief. It's just a 5-minute at a time thing." And I think she's referring to grief. "And I'm glad you have a loving boyfriend to support you. Sending hugs from Colorado." And of course, it's always helpful to people to hear that others get how they're feeling. It's always helpful, because one of the worst parts of grief is the isolation that it instills in us, because we feel very closed down around the pain that we're feeling. The world keeps moving, and we're often stricken in a way that disconnects us from others. And so this is one of the benefits of being in a group meeting, or just listening to these kinds of programs, because it really helps you understand that you're not alone, even though the details of your loss are undeniably unique.
Yeah.
The experience of loss is shared.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's very helpful for people, because a lot of times you don't know what to do with that grief, right? And you don't have maybe a lot of supports, and you are in an area maybe where you don't know where to go or who to talk to. I mean, but these kind of resources, I think it's better than it used to be. Ken, you and I, years ago, there weren't too many resources around us at all.
Yeah.
And so it's better.
Yeah.
But there are still a group of people in our country that really don't understand the relationship, the human animal bond. And so they don't have that ability to have empathy with it. So we stay away from them.
Yeah. Apparently, yes, you don't. That's all you can do. So as we close, I want to say congratulations to Nancy for adopting
my little baby here. And Angela, thank you for your comments.
Yes,
they were very well appreciated.
Yeah. And thank you all for the comments that you've left.
Yes.
And please, again, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please consider doing that. Please leave a comment and/or a thumbs up. It just helps the algorithm make the program more visible to those who could benefit from it. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Whether you joined us live or whether
you're going to listening
or watching one of the replays. And so everybody have a peaceful week. And Nancy, I'll look forward to seeing you again.
See you next week.
Yeah, I'm going to see you in person next week. Actually.
That's right.
I'm going to come and visit.
Good.
Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.